Hi there, Phil again. So this is tip 18.7, dividing perennial plants. Now normally I do try and do my video clips outdoors, however it has been raining here for days and days, so unfortunately I've had to move inside to do this. Since I can't just simply wait for the rain to finish, there are some advantages. I don't have to worry too much about dogs barking or planes flying overhead or such like. Now I will have quite a number of tips on flowers in the garden, and perennials will be key ones amongst these. Over time they do tend to grow too large for maybe the space, or perhaps the centre of the plant gets unthrifty and not growing so well, and time has come for it to be divided. There are other reasons to do that. You might wish to give some of the plants away or even maybe sell them. Also, another reason I sometimes do this is if problem weeds grow up through the plants. So, for example, climbing dock or convolvulus or twitch or cooch as we call it are weeds which you really can't remove any other way apart from digging the entire plant up, pulling it apart and then removing all the weeds and then replanting. Just simply tugging away at the ends of it will never actually achieve a result. It'll just keep on growing because the perinating parts of the weeds will remain amongst the roots and tubers of the perennial. Plants that can be usefully divided this way include Achillea or yarrow, ajuga, allium, which is in the onion family, armeria or thrift, astilbe, bergenia, hellebore or winter rose, hemerocallis or daylily, hosta, iris, various sorts of irises anyway, ligularia, liriope, phlox, sedum, which is a succulent. So many of those plants can be usefully divided and replanted. The timing to do this can vary a little bit according to the type of plant. Usually early spring is the best time, just as the plants are starting to emerge and develop new foliage. However, it can be done in late autumn when the plants have finished growing for the season and are moving into dormancy mode. I don't generally recommend doing this in winter because if the ground is puggy, it's not good for the plant or the ground, and the plants are going to be more prone to getting disease. Now, I'm going to show you the tools that I use. I've got 4 different garden forks. First of all, the one I use for general gardening, which is this one here. It's a Fiskars. It's ergonomically designed. It costs quite a lot of money. However, I didn't want to hold back because I do use it quite a lot, particularly when I'm growing vegetables. Also have a small hand fork, which I use generally for weeding amongst vegetables or annuals. And the third sort is the ones that I have mainly for dividing, and these are called a border fork. And because I only use these forks, which I'll show you one here, for dividing, I didn't bother to get an expensive one. It just wasn't worth it because I actually had to have 2 of them. So that's my second one. So I got them both from a second-hand shop, a thrift shop or charity shop, and you can see that they are different types and it doesn't actually matter at all. I'll just show you one of them compared with the full-size garden fork. You can see it's quite a lot smaller. You could use the full-size garden fork, but for 2 reasons why not. One is it's actually quite big and unwieldy for this purpose, and also the tines are more widely set apart, as you can probably see there. So therefore it wouldn't work as well. Now I'm going to show you the process for 3 different plants. First of all, an Agapanthus. So you can see that I've spread a tarpaulin on the ground. That's just so I can clean up the mess easily. You don't necessarily have to do this. You could do it on the grass or on concrete or paving. It wouldn't really matter. But you will find it will make a mess. I dig right round with my spade around all sides because I don't want to damage the roots. I'd like to keep the roots as intact as possible. When I've dug all the way around, then I do lift the plant. I use the spade for this. I can then lift it by the top, put it on the tarp, and you'll see that in this plant, and this is often the case, there is actually quite an obvious dividing point there. I'll just remove that weed, and then I put a fork on one side, and then I put the second fork back to back with the first one, and I try and get the tines down the same hole. And then I wiggle and I waggle each way, and I pull and I twist, and this is a great way of dividing the plants without damaging the roots. So some people recommend using a spade for this, but as you can see with this plant, the roots are still pretty much entirely intact. So it is a very kind way of treating the plant as far as division goes. And as you can see, it's very efficient. The second plant I'm going to show you is a Japanese anemone. Now you can see at the bottom of the picture, there is a hosta plant, and that would be suitable for dividing. I would think you would normally do that early spring because they're a deciduous plant over winter. And beyond me, there is a liriote plant, and that also would be very suitable. So again, I'm digging around all the sides before I try lifting it. A little bit tricky here because of it's quite tightly confined between the path and the fence. And again, I lift the plant up. There's actually several plants growing in that same area. Put the forks, one on each side, back to back, the same way. And I waggle. And at that point, the plants can be just pulled apart quite easily. The third one I'm going to show you is a Bromeliad, and that was in a pot. I'd already taken it out of the pot. But you can see that's suitable for division. There's 3 plants. I am just doing this one on the grass because since there's only potting soil in there, I don't need to worry about making too much of a mess. Put the forks back to back, a little bit of working away with the 2 forks, and I get the 2 plants. Now in this particular case, and this is often the situation, I can actually get a second division off it. So I'm not necessarily limiting this process to 2. You see on the top left hand side there, the Bromeliad has flowered. So that part of the plant will actually die now. It won't regrow. So I will discard that. And quite often after you've done your division, if you've done multiple divisions from the plant, you can actually simply throw away the central part because it will be less thrifty than the other parts. So there's my second plant. I will have a third plant there. So that's all for this tip. It seems quite a simple process, but it's one that's very useful. And even though I don't use those forks terribly often, when I do have need for them, they really are extremely useful to use. I also lend them out to friends or help other people with their divisions. So I don't think it's necessary for everybody to have a pair of forks like this. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and also like this tip. And I'd be interested in your comments if you've got any, put them below because I do have a look at them and I do reply in I think every case. And thanks very much for watching this tip through to the end. Bye now.